Study Nurse fam, Andrea here. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 CMC exam resources that I would suggest using when studying for your CMC exam. Now, I'm going to count them down from my least favorite to most favorite, and then in the end I'm going to give you guys a little bonus tip that I would find helpful when reviewing for the CMC exam. So let's get started. There are so many resources out there for the CCRN exam, but when you try to find resources for the CMC exam, there are hardly any. Like, you have to look so hard to try and find even just a couple of resources. So that's why I brought this video to you guys. They are the resources that I tried, that I tested, that I value and believe are not only sufficient but thoroughly adequate in preparing you for this exam, that I would recommend to my best friend to spend their money and invest in these resources so that they could pass this exam and get that certification. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and break down my top 5 favorite resources. And if you see me kind of looking off screen here, it's because I have a list of the different names of the resources and their prices. That way I don't tell you something wrong. So my top 5 favorite CMC resources, here we go. So number 5 would be Nicole Kupchik's CMC Study Book. That one to me was my least favorite. It does have a lot of information, and in fact I have it right here. So it looks like this. It has a lot of information, and there's a lot of different graphs, charts, some EKGs here, but a lot of the information is bulleted, and it can be hard to tie in the concepts and relate that to what you're seeing in the ICU. For me, I don't just learn with bulleted information. I have to get a holistic view of that information to be able to truly comprehend it and apply it to a different scenario. So for me, this one, which, her book is about $60 on her website or Amazon, and I just found this to be the least helpful, unfortunately, when studying for my CMC exam. Now, she also has a review course that goes along with this book. That one on its own is about $160, or you can buy both, which is what I did, for $199. Now, the review course, which is online, has a lot of different videos and modules to go through that I definitely found more helpful than the book. So that'll be my number 4. Her review course online, the way she presents the information is very easy to understand. She gives you these tips and tricks to help you remember information. So if you're going to choose one of her resources, I would definitely opt for the review course that's online. There are a lot of videos, I won't lie, but I was able to play them like I talked about in a different video while I drove to and from work and just kind of listened to them, and then that way I was making the most use of my off work time without having to stress over studying extra on top of work. So those are my number 5 and number 4 most helpful resources. That brings me to my 3rd favorite resource. That would be the ACCN practice exam for the CMC. So I actually have a copy of my booklet here. This booklet costs anywhere from $10 to $13. That depends on whether or not you're a member of ACCN. They give a little bit of a discounted price if you are a member. So my dog ran behind me. That one's Merlin. Merlin, come here. Come here. They're obviously helping me study. Anyway, so this CMC booklet, it's very thin, short, It's one full exam, and the rationales that are at the end of the book. So with this one, it was pretty similar to the actual exam. Granted, they are the organization that puts together the CMC exam themselves, so these questions should actually be the most similar, but I also didn't necessarily feel like this prepared me the most for the exam. So that's why it's kind of in the middle of my range here. So number 3, the AACN testing practice booklet. My number 2 favorite resource for the CMC exam would be the CNEA, or Cardiovascular Nursing Education Associates. Whew, that's a mouthful. Their review practice booklet, or they also have an online component where you can purchase 6 months of access or a year of access. So I did both, thinking, don't make this mistake, that the materials were different from the book to the online practice questions, but I've noticed that they're very similar, if at all different. So the book itself is pretty thick. There's over 1,300 questions, I believe, in here. And, if you don't have a lot of time to be on your phone or on a computer, and you need something to just kind of keep at your side while you're at work for those brief moments of downtime, and you want to study or something, then this might be the better option for you. I know I like having a physical, tangible resource that I can mark up, that I can circle, that I can highlight. To me, that is more beneficial in my learning process. So this book itself here is about $70. You can buy it on Amazon or through their website, it's cardionursing.org. My bad. Cardionursing.com. That's so right in the book. So this book has, at least one practice exam in there, and then they also break it down into different subsections. You can see I extensively use this. I mean, writing, highlighting, everything. Yeah. I would go through each section, do the practice problems, calculate my score, because you need about a 70% on the actual exam to pass. So it's very crucial to evaluate your progress as you go. So the more practice exams you can take and base your progress on, that's going to help you. So this book here has pretty much anything cardiac you can think. They've got 12 leads, they've got different rhythm strips. This is an invaluable resource. I will probably still refer to this, especially when I'm studying for my CRNA interviews. I really found this helpful. This is my number 2 resource. My very top resource would definitely be the AACN review course online. Now, if you're a member, the cost is a little better. That course ranges anywhere from $135 to $150. And it's a steep investment, just like with Nicole Kupchik's, but if you're choosing between one or the other, definitely choose the AACN's course, because it is so much more comprehensive. There are so many pieces of information that are missing from Nicole Kupchik's, or the depth just isn't quite there for the level you need to understand that material to be able to apply it and answer questions correctly on the CMC exam. So my number 1 resource would definitely be that course. Now, that course is very dry. It's hard to get through. There are many videos, and they do give you like a PDF version of the slides from the presentation, but even that is super overwhelming. Honestly, it's over 800 pages. It's a lot of information. So if you're gonna use that course to prepare, give yourself enough time. to get through everything. The modules within that course range anywhere from about 20 minutes to 2 or more hours. So when it is dry and hard to get through, that can seem like an eternity. And at some point you just stop processing. Your brain kind of shuts off. So make sure that you're taking breaks, that you're watching these videos in a time that you are receptive to learning, because you don't want to waste the money you've invested in this resource. And at the end of that review course, there's also another practice exam. So you'll have about 100 questions, I believe is how many there are. And then you'll also get continuing education credits for any of the courses I've mentioned. But at least the ones from AACN will directly transfer onto their continuing education system, where they keep track of all of the courses you've done and the credits you've accrued, which is super important because these certifications require quite a bit of continuing education to maintain, and as it should be. Critical care nurses are in a field that is constantly changing, especially now, and we need to be educating ourselves and keeping up with the most current practices so that we are the best resource for our patients. Okay, now as I promised, that was the top 5. I'm going to give you guys a bonus for sticking through the video. So with a lot of the cardiovascular information that's on this exam, I knew I had a cardiovascular nursing background that was somewhat limited. So if you're like me and you're coming from a MICU setting that doesn't have a lot of cardiac cases that are truly severely cardiac, like that aren't combined with respiratory, renal, not that you're going to have a solely cardiac patient, but if you feel like you don't have enough of the experience to get you to where you're answering those questions comfortably, then I would suggest taking the hemodynamics course that Nicole Kupchik has recently released. Now, I have kind of like a love-hate relationship with her resources. I love her review courses that are online, but the books I'm not so much a fan of. Now, this one is solely online. It's a review course for hemodynamic monitoring. And she walks you through A-lines, pulmonary artery catheters, all of those values and measurements you're going to get, and how to interpret them and apply them to answering the questions you're going to see. And to be honest, a lot of the CMC questions revolve around hemodynamics. So while this isn't a resource that I would recommend solely by itself, I think it is a great supplement to the resources you're already using. And if you know that this is an area you're lacking in, like I knew I was, then it will benefit you time and time and time again, and it will be so worth the investment. And her courses tend to be available for 6 months or longer after you purchase them, and I know she's very receptive to your needs. So if you send her a message saying, I'm still studying this material, can I please have extended access, then she's going to renew that access for you. I've had to do that a couple of times now when I was studying for my CMC, as things got delayed because of the pandemic. Okay guys, that's it for today. So if you liked this video, be sure to give it a like, click that subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next video. I plan to release another video kind of talking about some different tips and tricks for the information on the CMC exam, as well as for the CCRN. I want to give you guys the best chance you have to pass this exam with flying colors so you don't have to do it again. That's super important. We don't want to waste your investment, your resources, your time. Be sure to leave me a comment below telling me if you've used any of these resources, which you found most helpful, and then also if there's some sort of resource I missed, I didn't find when I was doing my internet search. So if you find something that I didn't mention, drop a link down below. Let me know about it. I want to check it out too, because I just started my CVICU job, and honestly, I could use all the help I can get, in my arsenal of resources. So if there's something else you guys would like to see, also let me know in the comments below. Giving me a like on this video just reiterates how much you guys are enjoying this content and lets me know to keep giving content like this. So I look forward to next time. Study Nurse signing out.